Let's see, nothing displaying yet.
I guess people are taking.
Oh, all right. Yes, nice. Sweet. Cool, okay. So, welcome to the next installment of Scalable Web Programming. This week we're going to talk about the web ecosystem and mashups and how those tie in together and how they relate to scalable web programming. Let's see. We'll just dive straight in. But this week, Thursday, the assignment's due, and we'll have some question and answer time at the end of class to talk about that a little bit as well. So, basically, I think that, the early part of this course has been designed to sort of focus on a number of topics that I think are kind of like prerequisites before actually writing any software. It's all the pieces that if you have some awareness of, it's going to help you write better software. And I think I saved some of the more stuff for last. But the internet ecosystem, I think, is sort of one of the things that if you really get it, it helps inform everything you do as you write your code. So the very first bullet point talks about what the web was sort of initially created for, and it's really a tool for universal information dissemination. It's for getting word out there, and I think that's really critical when you think about a lot of software startups that talk about creating like gated environments or completely private data or all sorts of things that in fact try to hamper information dissemination, and usually the result is somewhat of a mismatch in terms of what you're actually able to accomplish. If you look at the internet as an ecosystem, you can start treating websites and web pages as species or even individuals within a species. And by looking at it from that perspective, you can really get an idea of what it is that causes a site or a page to flourish, and what it is that can cause a site never to take off. And if you look at the ongoing growth of the web, there's been a lot of trends towards measuring the popularity of websites, and search engines have definitely anchored the notion of a ranking of web pages, and those things have become much more and more important in the value of a website. When you think of websites as species and look at and sort of imagine how they occupy a niche within this ecosystem where they actually represent a place that people can go to find certain types of information, and how they do or don't displace other websites and web pages that provide similar type of information. You get a sense of the dynamic flow of the popularity of all of the sites on the web. So pages sort of integrate into this ecosystem via the people who visit and talk about it, via the links that people add to those pages, and via their search ranking. And so we're going to look at that in a little more detail as we go along, but it's really sort of the life of a page sort of depends on all of these three things. That it gets seen, that people link to it, that search engines find it, and one of the sort of curious sort of things that has emerged over the last 10 years is that, if anything, one company, Google, has sort of become symbiotic to the web as a whole. And where you can see that Google actually helps create more web pages at the same time as the web helps Google create more revenue for itself. And there's a real beneficial cycle that they've managed to create there, where any new page that's created is likely to first get indexed on Google, which creates an additional page where there might be some ad inventory for Google to make more money. So, and then another interesting thing is that Google is producing lots of tools, such as the ones we're using in class, to actually generate more web pages and more visibility of the web. And their shift into the mobile space actually isn't a surprise either, because the mobile web is, I think, one of the next places where the web is going to continue its explosive growth. I'm not going to spend too much time on the evolution of the web, except that right now a lot of activity is happening in the mobile space, and it's interesting to see that yesterday when I was stuck in traffic, I actually went to my browser to figure out whether I could find out anything about the traffic jam. Turns out there was a tree that was that had fallen over because of the storm, and 20 minutes later we were out of the traffic jam. But it says something about the evolution of the web when the first thing you think of doing is going to your browser when some immediate event happens. I heard this story that may or may not be true of people updating their Facebook status when they got stuck in a snowdrift and just waited for a rescue to come. So it's just amazing to see these sorts of things happening. The thing that's been happening in parallel to all of this is that the web, because of its immediacy, has become kind of a mirror to pop culture and an amplifier to pop culture. And I couldn't resist. I'm going to try and include at least one little joke in the course of each class. But internet memes are definitely one of the things that I've become really fascinated with, because they tell you something about how things become popular on the web. And if you can integrate some of the lessons of how internet memes become popular, you can really learn something about how to make your websites popular as well. So I just had fun and I created my own little image for the day. So this is sort of like a mashup of 3 different memes. The ICANN Has Cheeseburgers website, which supports all of the lolcats of the world, and the Rickrolling phenomenon that's been around for a couple years. So I just Rickrolled you. And one of the latest ones that happened when Kanye West made a fool of himself at the award shows recently. So I just sort of mashed that all together. And the web is a place that allows this to happen. It's sort of a place where you can pull all sorts of ideas together, smash them together, and then push them back out on the web. So I haven't yet tried publishing it, but maybe I'll do it after class and see what happens, just to see if anybody cares. So anyway, the internet meme phenomenon is something that's really interesting, because they're exploiting a lot of what makes the web a medium of instant communication to make jokes and just all around entertain us. And it's a good sort of introduction to a more detailed look at sort of why websites are popular, and who looks at your websites, and what you need to do to get your websites seen by other people. So initially, word of mouth was actually the only way that